Welcome back, guys, to SGT version 1.2. This is version 1.2 of Scalaber's gameplay tweaks, for any of you who don't know what the acronyms are for. And today we have quite a number of changes that affect the data pack in kind of new and interesting ways. A lot of you know that I've started to get more into function files and more complex data packs with SBS and SMC. SGT has always been a very traditional pack where you only really change, recipes, loot tables, block loot tables, and a few other things as well. But now it's starting to become a little bit more complex, and the start of that is definitely in today's episode. In version 1.3, we're going to have a very large number of changes. I've recently discovered incredible new ways to change things that I didn't even realize were possible before, such as creating custom loot tables for structures, spawning entirely custom structures using the existing structure system, and even spawning custom items as a result of loot tables and mob drops and using the replace item command. There's so many things that we can do to just literally add new features to the game that we've pulled them out of thin air, basically. So there's a lot of new things that we can do, but we're going to be getting into some more complex things in version 1.3. Today's quite a simple update. First of all, one of my favorite changes today is with armor stands. All armor stands will have arms now, which is cool because, armor stands have always been able to have arms in the game. They just, for some reason, don't. And as you can see here, if you have SDR version 1.14.3 or later installed, then you'll be able to get the armor stand with arms. As you can see in my inventory there, it has little arms. It's cool. This texture was actually originally in SQR, which is my Quark resource pack, because Quark adds this feature as well. It just adds the fact that any armor stand placed in the world will have arms. It's pretty simple. What I've done is I've actually taken what Quark does and taken it a little bit further. If you place the armor stand while crouching, it will not have arms. So basically you can now choose whether or not your armor stand will have arms, which it will do by default, or if you're crouching, the armor stand will not have arms. This was really easy to set up, and I've never seen anyone do this before. Again, I can't think why you would want to have an armor stand without arms, but just having the option feels quite cool. I can just crouch and place as many of these bad boys as I like, or place them with arms. It's really cool. I really like how smoothly that works. I just really like it. But yeah, anyway, onwards from that, we have quite a few changes to function files and some bug fixes as well. So first of all, with the paintings function file, where you do /function Scalaber toolbox paintings, this board of paintings wasn't actually spawning the 2x1 paintings on the side here. It was only spawning the 2x2, the large ones, the small ones, the long boys, and the cool ones up there, I guess, the haunted house and the long boys there as well. It wasn't spawning these wide boys here, so now it is. So if you download SGT version 1.2 or later, you will now be able to see all of the paintings on this board as opposed to all but these 5. So that's kind of just a little fix from version 1.1. We also have a fix to the fishing loot table. The fishing loot table had a bug where it was actually giving players 10 ink sacks as opposed to giving players 1 ink sack with a weight of 10. So I've just simply swapped those numbers around. I don't know how that happened. It happened somewhere in the past, apparently. But yeah, there was also, basically, if you've been playing with SGT for the past few months, then there's a likelihood that you will have randomly got 10 ink sacks, which is obviously wrong. So yeah, now when you fish, if you do get the ink sack roll, it will only ever be 1 ink sack with a much higher weight, as opposed to 10 ink sacks with a much lower weight. But, it's not really that bad because it was still balanced. The numbers were just reversed. But now it makes more sense, really. That's kind of it, really. So yeah, one other thing I wanted to do as well was make sure that these function files work correctly. Obviously, we added the ability to spawn in this wall of villagers and the zombie villager variants in the version 1.1 of SGT. So you can just see a lineup of all the swamp, snow, desert, jungle, savanna, taiga, and plains villagers, and their zombie counterparts as well. These zombies would actually despawn if you went really far away. So now that these entities, well, all of them, just to be safe, are spawned with the persistence required tag. So if you spawn in a wall of zombie villagers like this and then fly away, go and do some other stuff and come back, they will all still be here. I discovered this by pure chance, basically just by spawning in a wall of zombie villagers, going away and doing something else, and then coming back, and it's like, how did they all die? What happened? No, they all just despawned. So they now all have the persistence required tag, so that should work a little bit better. When you now do the creative function, which is function Scalaber toolbox creative, as you can see there, it will actually now set the value of time warp to the maximum value for a 32-bit integer. And that basically means that if you have SBS installed, which is the data packer that makes the daytime a lot slower and progression of the day-night cycle a lot slower depending on your time warp value, it will mean it's the equivalent of do daylight cycle false. Because if you have SBS installed and you run that function, the day is still going to keep ticking by. But obviously, if you run the creative command, which is again function function Scalibur toolbox creative. Yeah, so if you run this function, what you're really doing is, you're setting up a creative world. So you kill all the slimes, you set a load of game rules, you do no weather, no daylight cycle, no time, everything else. And obviously, if you were doing this with SBS installed, time would just still progress. So by setting the value of time warp to the maximum value, it means that one Minecraft day will take about 81,000 years. I think you're going to be fine. I think that the time is never going to pass, so I think you'll be good. If anyone can leave their computer on for 81,000 years and show me a full day-night cycle happening, I'll give you a chocolate medal. So there you go. Challenge accepted, I'm sure. I will personally feed you the chocolate medal myself if you can do that. So... yeah. So onwards from that, we have some new crafting recipes. These are some of the more traditional changes for SGT. First of all, arrows are now crafted with iron nuggets as opposed to flint. This is a change I'm not 100% sure on just yet. It is a bit of a weird one. Like, I don't know. Like iron is kind of more valuable than flint, but also easier to come by. It's a really weird one. I've never encountered a situation like this before, but I don't know, like arrows are crafted with flint. Usually what you'd do is you would craft feather, stick, flint, and get 4 arrows. Now you craft it with an iron nugget and get 4 arrows. But 1 iron ingot crafts 9 iron nuggets, and that means that you can craft 36 arrows with a single iron nugget. Is that overpowered? I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit overpowered, but then again, you have to keep in mind that obviously you have to have 9 feathers to, make up for that as well. So I don't know, man. I feel like the arrow recipe is kind of overpowered by default, and maybe I've just made it more overpowered, or have I made it less overpowered? I'm not really sure. I'm kind of undecided with this one. If it is too easy, then please do let me know in the comments, and I'll just reduce the number of arrows that you get to like 2 or 3, for example, and that'll mean that you have to use a lot more feathers, but your iron is used more efficiently, basically. Your iron is used less efficiently, which makes it more balanced. So there you go. The scaffolding can now only be crafted with bamboo. Originally, it was a feature of sub, or universal bamboo, that you could craft scaffolding with sticks, but these top 2 pieces would always have to be bamboo. It was these side 4 pieces that could be bamboo or sticks. I don't really know why that was originally in the pack. It was just, with the spirit of universality. But obviously these 2 on the top made it so that you had to find bamboo. You couldn't just make scaffolding out of sticks. You had to actually find bamboo at some point. So given that you had to use bamboo anyway, I figured it's just more sensible and more, I don't know, nice looking if it's just all bamboo. So yeah, so bamboo is now used to craft scaffolding in its entirety. You can't use sticks for this recipe anymore. So yeah, bamboo is arguably more hard to craft into scaffolding now, but makes more sense. So there you go. On the contrary, you can now use bamboo to craft paper. You only get 1 paper from using bamboo. The reason why I've done this is just to simply give players more options of farming paper. Obviously, the only method we really have right now, well, the only method we have right now for farming paper is to get sugarcane. Now, sugarcane does still have its benefits. You can obviously craft sugarcane into sugar, but bamboo can also now be used to get paper. It's a lot less efficient, given that bamboo only drops half the time, and 3 bamboo equals 1 paper as opposed to 3. But you can see here, it just kind of gives you more options. If you want to set up a huge bamboo farm to get paper, or say if you have spare bamboo because you don't need as much scaffolding as you think, which is very often the case, because I feel like bamboo is one of the most strange resources in the game, then you can just craft it into paper as well. The semi-helpful resource for making enchanting tables, and that's just about it really. So yeah. Now, another controversial change that I might just remove in the next version is blasting redstone and lapis into their block variants. Now, I looked this up before to make sure it wasn't too overpowered, and it turns out that the average amount of redstone and lapis that you'll get when using a Fortune 3 pickaxe is actually only about 6. So if you use a full Fortune 3 pickaxe from redstone dust, you can get well higher than 9, but you will on average, you'll get 6, basically. So I kind of like this because it's kind of a gamble. Like, if you want to use Fortune 3 on your ore instead, then there's a chance that you can get more, but you're obviously a lot safer just going with this route and using it to craft with a blasting furnace straight into the block variant. As you can see here, we have block of redstone, and we have block of lapis. You can craft them in the blast furnace like so. Now, crafting these blocks into their block form in a blasting furnace, usually anything that you craft in a blasting furnace would take 100 game ticks, or 10 seconds. This takes 600 game ticks. Sorry, wait, no. 100 game ticks or 5 seconds. This takes 600 game ticks or 30 seconds. So crafting lapis into lapis blocks from redstone into redstone blocks takes a hell of a lot of time, but obviously it is kind of worth it because you're guaranteeing that you get a lot more resources. If you have Silk Touch, then you can use it to your advantage to get more redstone and more lapis. One downside of this, however, is that you don't get any experience from doing this. Obviously, if you mine the blocks in world, you get a lot of experience, but if you put them in the blasting furnace, you get nothing. You get no experience. So basically, it's kind of a gamble. Do you want to get more of the resource but no experience, or do you want to use your fortune and maybe get more but get XP? It's kind of, I don't know, it's a weird gamble, but it gives you the option to kind of like process these ores in a more clean way, I guess you could say. Another change I've made is getting sticks from more places. I realized recently, if I just get some sort of log, let's get an acacia log. I realized recently that one of the recipes in the sawmill that made absolutely no sense was the fact that you could get 12 slabs from a single log, which the math works out because you can use a log to craft 6 planks, and then of course 6 planks halved, then you get 12 slabs. It's pretty simple. But beforehand, you could get 12 sticks and 12 slabs. So it was like, okay, well, I can craft this block of wood into 12 slabs or 12 sticks. That doesn't really add up, does it? Like slabs and sticks having the same kind of value? No, I'm not really happy with that. So now every time you craft sticks, you will get double what you got beforehand. So usually where this would be 12, you could now get 24. If we actually just craft some sticks in the window here, we'll now get 8 as opposed to 4 as well. So everywhere that you would usually craft sticks in the vanilla game, you will now get double what you got before. Now, on the subject of sticks, I've also changed the way that these trees work a little bit. Oak trees, birch trees, acacia, cacao, pine, dark oak, jungle, whatever you want to call them, all the trees, all 6 trees, will now no longer drop sticks from their leaves. It's kind of been a thing from, I think, 1.13 onwards, maybe 1.14, where, maybe even earlier than that, actually, I'm not sure. But it's kind of been a thing for a long time now that leaves will occasionally drop sticks. Me, being a classic Minecraft player, I don't really like this because I don't know, like, again, it kind of makes sense, but, like, I just don't like it. I don't know why, I just don't like it. I think it's kind of annoying that you can just occasionally get random sticks as a result of harvesting trees. Like, maybe you don't want to craft sticks. Maybe you don't want spare sticks in your inventory. I don't know, it's just kind of... It's kind of annoying, I'm not really sure. So basically, oak trees, pine trees, dark oak, cacao, and also acacia trees will now no longer drop any sticks whatsoever. Birch trees, however, will actually drop string in their place. Now, my logic with this is that birch trees have perhaps been infested with, like, silkworms, maybe? So if we were to break down a birch tree, there is a very, very, very small chance, about 10% of the chance of a stick dropping, that you will get some string from the leaves instead. And it just kind of makes, you know, an extra source of string if you don't want to fight mobs, or if you're playing in peaceful mode, for example, then you can use them to get, like, a fishing rod or whatever. So yeah, crafting birch trees, obviously, like, one of the advantages of using oak trees is you get apples. One of the advantages of using birch trees is that you get string. So there you go. And yes, as you may have seen, I am getting a speed buff when I'm on this path. It decays and goes away, and then I can get it again when I go on the path, and it decays and goes away, and then get it again. Path now gives you speed 1. I really like this change, actually. I think it's really good. Like, it's a really easy one to set up. Again, all we're doing is just checking to see if the player is standing on a path block, and then if they are, giving them a scoreboard value, and then if the scoreboard value is a certain point, giving them this looping speed buff every 3 seconds. So the reason why I've done this is to make it so that there isn't like a number that's rapidly flickering between 3 and 2 in your inventory when you stood on path, because that looks kind of dumb. I've made it act more like a beacon in that it gets refreshed every 3 seconds, but the moment you leave the path, as you know, you lose the speed buff pretty much instantly because it's only a 3-second buff. I might even make this buff shorter in the future to make it so that you can't retain the speed buff for even that, like even shorter. Like maybe have this. Excuse me. Oh god, fuck. I'm so sorry, that was really bad. Maybe have it so the speed buff refreshes every 2 seconds as opposed to 3, or maybe even just every like 1.5 seconds. And that way it would mean that when you leave the path, you're very likely to just instantly lose it, as opposed to having that random chance to keep it for considerably longer if you left it a specific time. So yeah, so running on paths will now give you extra speed. This is just kind of a way of encouraging players of actually using the path block, I guess. Me personally, I really like building paths between villages and bases and everything else. Even if there is already nether transport, I just like the idea of everything being connected in the overworld as well. Like, in my mind, the lore is like, the wandering traders use this shit. I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, so now if you build path blocks, you will be rewarded by having a speed 1 buff whenever you are using the path. So there you go. And that summarizes everything for SGT version 1.2. Thank you very much for watching. Again, I'm going to have some much more exciting things in store for version 1.3. just to give you an idea of the kind of things that I'm actually working on, one thing that I was going to do for version 1.2 is I was going to have a custom loot table for the Nether Fortress chest, just to make sure that Nether Fortress chests always spawned nether warts, because of course sometimes you can find the Nether Fortress that doesn't have nether warts. So having Nether Fortress chests always spawn the nether wart means that you'll never get that annoying encounter where it's like, oh well, I found the Nether Fortress but there's no nether wart, because it's the worst thing when that happens. So this guy's not having a good day, is he? He's not having a good day. You're right, bro. Oh, he's got no AI. He's got no AI. Never mind. But yeah, and then I realized that you can actually put items in a loot table chest that have MBT values, which means that we can give them custom damage, custom durability, custom attack speed, custom textures. So by manipulating that, we can have custom unique items spawn in Nether Fortress chests, such as like a wither sword or a wither bow or a scythe or, you know, a range of other things, meaning that you can now get unique weapons from exploring certain dimensions, certain structures, and looting certain chests. And I'm sure you can immediately realize how much potential there is in that idea. Obviously, right now, a big problem in Minecraft is that you can't craft with MBT. There is no way of affecting the MBT of an output item, which means that you can't have multiple of an output item in like a furnace or a blasting furnace, for example. You can in a crafting table, but you can't give them like custom model data or custom damage values or custom durability or anything like that. You can't give them any special features. They're just the initial item with no traits. A lot of people do on-ground crafting. So like, you know, for example, if I wanted to craft together, iron, gold ore and andesite, I'll throw them on the ground and then boom, they'll like fuse together, kill both of the items and then summon a new item with custom model data and all the MBT tags. Because of course, if you do like summon item, you can actually add all the tags properly. I don't like that personally. I think that's a bit messy. And I think that it's kind of a dumb thing that we have to do, because Mojang should just add the ability to do MBT tags in crafting. But you can do it in loot tables, which means that I have a lot of potential for loot tables. So I'll see you guys in the next one for version 1.3. It's probably not going to be out for a couple weeks yet. I want to work on these things quite a bit. But yeah, in version 1.3, we will have custom structure generation, custom item spawning, and also custom loot tables as well. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be good stuff. Anyway, if you have any feedback for me on the changes in today's episode, please feel free to comment below. Otherwise, I would look forward to speaking to you in the Discord. And if not, then I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and take care and have a very nice day. Bye-bye.